Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for taking the time to join us for this important discussion. Environmental reporting plays a powerful role in shaping public opinion and action. But there's a challenge: sensationalism. While accuracy is crucial, sensationalized stories can distort the truth because it can cloud public understanding, delay important decisions, and even derail conservation efforts. Now, let's look at some examples. Can we pull up the first slide, please? Yeah. Environment Minister directs officials to explore Tamil Nadu model for controlling elephant menace. Now, with a show of hands, how many of you agree that there is something wrong with this headline? Elephant menace. Does that sound right? In a country as densely populated as ours, coexisting with wildlife is not an easy task. It is one of the biggest challenges we face. And headlines like this don't help our situation either. The public can end up with a negative perception towards wildlife and view it as a problem that needs to be controlled. News like this makes the work of conservationists in communities on the front line so much harder. These kind of negative narratives can push people further away from the truth and the coexistence we're striving for. Now let's look at another example. Chomp horror. Terrifying moment, a bloodthirsty tiger shark tries to bite the diver's head off. Wow, bloodthirsty shark. Now let's pause for a moment. Is it fair to vilify this tiger shark? But then let's flip the story for a second. What if the headline was, diver, thirsty for social media likes, dives too close to a curious tiger shark? Now blaming the diver can be just as sensational and problematic, right? What actually happened between the diver and the tiger shark was an unfortunate incident. But sensational headlines like these ignore the basic principles of journalism: to be fair, objective, and responsible in how we report. Now, can we have the next slide? How many of you have come across these titles while reading the news? Snakes are killers, rogue elephant, notorious leopard strays into village, or toxic kudo millet kills Bandhavgarh elephants. Some media houses often seem determined to find villains in every story to make it more dramatic and appealing for audience consumption. Even millets were vilified in this case. But what is alarming is how these terms are normalized by many media houses. We see stories like this almost every single day. We have two incredible panelists with us today: Shailesh Shrivastava, a senior editor at Mongabay, India, who will bring us the journalist perspective on ethical reporting. Shailesh, can we please have you on stage? And Gowri Shankar, a renowned herpetologist who will shed light on these issues as he debunks some of the most viral news stories. Thank you so much, Shailesh and Gowri, for joining us today. Now, Shailesh, my first question is for you. Yes. As a senior editor at Mongabay, India, you have been commissioning and editing stories on environmental and wildlife regularly. How prevalent is misinformation in environmental news?
Hi, good morning everybody, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you GLF and especially Ben to do this one and include this particular topic for today's discussion. Coming to your question, Trishala, misinformation actually is an everyday affair. It happens daily, here, there, everywhere. Morning you see the newspaper, or you tune to any news website or news channel. It's everywhere. Now, misinformation happens in different ways. So, one way is to, use scientific terms or environmental terms very loosely. Uh, Maybe, uh, you know, uh, misreporting or giving a twist to human-wildlife interaction. Or another thing is misidentification of species. So this is how misinformation spreads, and in all these instances, we are looking to find a villain, right? Let me give you an example of Madhya Pradesh's Bandhavgarh. If we can have that photo, yes. Uh, yeah, so in October this year, in about 12 elephants died in Madhya Pradesh's Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve area after they'd entered a field, a farm, right? Just after this incident happened, the news broke out that locals poisoned the elephants, but the locals there have been protecting the wildlife or trying to protect the wildlife for centuries together. So here the local community got vilified. Now coming to the second stage, when the initial postmortem report came, the point was that the kodo millet was found in the stomach. Basically the herd consumed kodo, right? And then people started saying that kodo is so toxic, kodo is poisonous, and people should not consume it. Some went on to say that think about it, that kodo's toxicity, that if it can kill an elephant, think about human beings, right? And when the final report, the toxicology report and everything came, it turned out that it's not the kodo. It's can we have the next slide if we are? Yes. So it's not kodo. It's a fungus which developed on the crop in certain conditions, which was responsible for the death. Now we take 3 points from this example. Is that first thing, the local community got vilified because people just didn't wait for information to come. They were in a hurry, right? The second thing is that kodo, a nutritious millet like kodo, earned a bad name. In fact, when we did this story, Manish did this story, a lot of people responded to this story saying that you saved the kodo market, because the kodo market was going down after this incident, right? And the third thing is that when you divert the attention from the main issue, right, you are just diverting the long term mitigation process, right? And in some cases like these, it can also increase the negative interaction between the wildlife and humans. So yeah, misinformation, definitely, it is an everyday affair, and there is no boundary, there is no geographical boundary to it. It can happen in urban and rural areas equally. So yeah, if that answers your question.
Yeah, very interesting. But in the beginning of your talk, you mentioned...
One more thing, I would like to add, because another example is from UP. UP's Bahraich, is the area which just below Tarai, and in fact some part of it is in Tarai area. So there was an interaction between humans and wolf, right? Now what happened in this case, that people, I think this happened in August or somewhere. Yeah, so after this incident happened, the forest department caught 5 wolves. There was no DNA test done or any other test done to ascertain that these were the wolves that were responsible for the attack. Now, since these tests were not done, and despite not having that information, headlines started calling these animals man-eater, bloodthirsty, and what not. So the point is that, this is an everyday affair, and you look anywhere, it just is there.
Yeah, it's very, very common to see animals being misrepresented. Like, let's take snakes, for example. Either the species names are always like misidentified, or in many cases, media is reporting snake bite incidents and making snakes look like they're villains who are after people and ready to bite them with venom. So, Gowri, my next question is to you. From a scientific perspective, what are the most common misrepresentations you've observed in media, especially when it comes to reporting about wildlife such as snakes?
Yeah, good morning to all. Very, very important. We have close to 350 snake species in India, and there are only 4 venomous snakes which are responsible close to 58,000 or 60,000 deaths in India. Just 4 species. But still, I'm really surprised our journalists can't recognize or identify or can't differentiate between a venomous and non-venomous. For example, cobras and rat snakes, they're completely different. If I say Salman Khan and Shah Rukh Khan look alike, I'm sure people will laugh. For me, they are such a big difference, right? Cobra and rat snake, they're completely different, but I've seen many times where they put a rat snake picture, right? I mean, claiming, oh yeah, right here. Yes, that's a rat snake, this is a cobra. But I know for a common man's eyes, they can't make out the difference, but a journalist should be able to identify this because he's going to publish it where thousands of people or millions of people are going to read it. So they should at least know this. So according to me, one of the most misrepresentation would be the identification of species, very, very important. A non-venomous snake being labeled as a venomous snake and people getting confused, and later whenever they see this snake, they just kill it. The problem is, look at this one, a python and a Russell's viper. They look, I mean, the size-wise they look alike, but they're completely different. Look at this. This is the rock python pattern and the Russell's viper python. But I've seen many publications where they put Russell's viper below the text, but the picture will be a python, which is completely harmless, non-venomous snake. So that, according to me, is a big misrepresentation or misidentification or miscommunication.
That's very true, and it's very common. I see a lot of news articles doing this. But Gowri, one thing that stands out to me is that there's a huge gap between scientific research and public understanding. Now, both of you work at the intersection of science and communication. Now, this question is for both of you. In your experience, how can we build more effective bridges between these two worlds?
I think there should be a dialogue or a communication between journalists and scientists. And I do get this complaint many times. I've been a mediator between journalists and scientists because I spend more time in Indian Institute of Science with my colleagues there, friends. And journalists do complain that these scientists don't talk to us. They can't talk to them because sometimes even I avoid going to some of the local TV channel interviews or thing because they put me there with 10 years of PhD and thousands of paper and whatever we read and spend so much time, and the next fellow will be a completely snake rescuer. No hard feelings, but I respect their work, but without scientific knowledge. So 3 people or 4 people on a platform like this, we're completely contradicting. So it's difficult. I think the relationship between journalists and scientists, I think we should have more dialogues and they should talk and build that bridge, a gap, and get in touch with the scientific people for any data.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay, now let me represent the journalists here because the shot came. Okay, yeah, I completely agree, Gowri, that there has to be a better process of dialogue, and the conversations have to move beyond writing those emails for responses for a particular story. Those coffee conversations are the ones that are going to increase the understanding of journalists about a certain topic when both the parties sit and discuss, right? That's when the understanding will increase, and that's for a larger good. The other point is that, I don't know how we are going to do it. It's happening, and a lot of people are taking that time out, but it has to be a mutual process. There is no written rules here, but we have to be in touch. We have to keep talking. And one more thing I would like to point out, Gowri, here is that, identifying the between the two species, especially snakes, one person who is seeing the snake missing it, I completely understand. But what happens in the newsroom is that it looks like this and just publish it. So that also we have to take care of it, and a lot of us are taking care of it. Another point I would like to highlight here, and it's not about the bridge, but there is a growing problem which both the parties have to solve together, is the introduction of AI. The Bahraich incident I was talking about, if you just recall that image again, means those wolves are not even Indian grey wolf. Means this is some other species. Means they just generate it on AI, and then they just want to make it look more ferocious. That's all. So this also we have to do. Just if you know a recent incident, what happened in Ranchi, one hornet flying snake was rescued, and it's all over the internet that a flying snake was found, and in local languages it is called takshak. So they have taken it to the mythology, and they have vilified this species like anything. Means those AI images, if you see, those are horrible. So this is one thing we will have to figure out how to address. And yeah, so one point, that bridge has to be made and better, and we have to find time for each other. That's my
I
take.
think Gowri has a point.
Yeah, quite interesting. Sometimes people used to send us the picture of a snake in the garden, identification, right? So on the way, while driving also, I can just, oh, there's a rat snake. We can type and send it immediately so that they are comfortable. Okay, it's a rat snake's non-venomous. These days, they send a AI-generated image. Can you identify this? Seriously? So I've seen even recently there was a Radio City interview. They've used an AI-generated cobra picture, and a lot of people sent it to me so that I can identify that. That's just, it's going. I mean, don't tell me a journalist can't differentiate between this or that, or they just randomly wanted to use it like that. I think it's just to get the attention, like you said, like Wolf's say. Sensationalism.
That's very true. Communication is key, and also being patient with publishing the story is also very important. And communication from both ends, scientists and journalists. It's a two-way street.
We both communicate a lot. We have a beer, whiskey, coffee, tea, everything.
Yes, so
Anybody
yeah, a
interested?
relationship
Yeah,
like
we
this.
both communicate.
But for me, there's another alarming trend along with AI that now that we're mentioning it. I see a lot of misinformation online. Like sharing content online now is very easy with like a click of a button, and news, whether accurate or not, goes viral in a matter of minutes. Now, whether it's an Instagram reel or a Facebook status or a WhatsApp rumor started by your neighborhood uncle, false information is everywhere. So, Shailesh, how do digital platforms change environmental storytelling? And apart from wildlife, I also see environmental news can become sensationalized these days. Can you tell us a bit more about this?
Yeah, this is again like AI. This is a growing concern, and see the digital platforms. The mode has a solid possibility of turning itself into a great awareness tool, but at the other side, which is getting into this sensational headlines and content, is really disastrous, I would rather say. Point here is that, we have to understand the digital market. That, these people are, whoever are creators and all that, those people are there for the number game, because the higher the number is, the higher the earning, right? And most of the times these people are even paying the platform to, promote that unscientific and, content filled with misinformation, just to make the reach higher. And we have to have some rules and regulations. I really don't know how we are going to do it, but we need to have some rules and regulations here and guidelines, so we can tackle this problem. Now, coming to the second part of your question is, yes, this misinformation is there, and what I see from here is that the biggest point which is growing is that, using these scientific terms or environmental terms very loosely, just because they sound fancy, right? To give you an example, back in 2022, Bangalore got a intense rainfall, right? And a lot of, many parts of Bangalore got flooded, including my part in Sarjapura Road. Now, what happened is that suddenly the headlines, here it is. Suddenly the headlines were filled with cloudburst. Now, cloudburst sounds very fancy, and it can generate a lot of clicks. But the journalist has not taken that pain of reading the definition of a cloudburst, right? A cloudburst is defined when, an area of close to 10 square kilometer receives about 100 mm of rainfall in just 1 hour. In this incident, what happened, Bangalore received 132 mm of rain in the span of 24 hours, and that too in a larger area, right? And people just went on to call it cloudburst, and these headlines are from leading newspapers and news websites. So, using these fancy terms is the problem. You have to read something, and if there is a term, it is for a certain thing, right? So this is the biggest part of misinformation, I would say. Yeah.
That's actually a good point about climate change. Now that you mention it, I see how this term is like loosely used for almost.
Another point.
Yeah.
Okay. One more growing point is that climate change has caught up. 5 years ago, nobody was talking about climate change, and there were so many climate deniers, right? Now, since the climate change, the term has caught up. Now, every natural phenomenon will be attributed to climate change. The floods, the normal floods that happen in the flood season are getting attributed to climate change. Dude, this is not climate change. Yes, it is. Climate change somewhere is responsible for that, but the biggest responsibility lies to people who have encroached upon those floodplains, right? And you just keep using this climate change term for everything because it sounds fancy.
That's true. Now, before we jump to our audience Q&A, Gowri, you're quite active on social media and you're doing a phenomenal job in educating audience with your content. You simplify and state facts in both languages, English and Kannada, which is really great. Now, is there a personal experience that you would like to share with us where social media representation significantly impacted conservation?
There are many. I think this is one of my favorite recently. Is there a video? Is there a video? You should watch it. I'm learning a lot from these guys now. Though I've been working with National Geographic Discovery for a long time, but I spend more time watching these reels these days just to learn. Because the way they talk, it's seriously impressive. And I wanted to know how many million views this guy has. I think this will be...
तो मरना तय है क्योंकि रेटल स्नेक बगीचे में ठंड से बचने के लिए अपने बिल से निकलकर धूप में बाहर आते हैं और वहां पर लगी सब्जियों को काटते हैं, जिससे उनका जहर सब्जी के अंदर चला जाता है और अगर आप बिना चेक किए सब्जी को खाते हो तो आपकी जान भी चली जाएगी.
Can we do that? I mean, I'm practicing every day in the bathroom. This is the king cobra. I can't do it. You know, everything he said was wrong. Right? Somebody is killing the snake. I think this went quite viral, you know. Nowadays, there will be 100, forwards like this from different people across the globe for me to talk about it. Literally 100. And this guy is talking about that's a saw scale viper. Somebody is killing it and is about, because of the pain, he's trying to bite that tomato. I forgot how to pronounce tomato now. It's like tomatar. Tomatar khayenge to mar jayenge. So that went viral, and I did a review video on this, but it's just 110K view because it was boring. Facts are boring, but I should learn how to say things like this. You know, this is one, and I think long ago I watched one Telugu video. Someone got a shot of Russell's viper giving birth, live birth. You know, Russell's viper are live bearers, right? There are snakes like cobras, king cobras. They lay eggs. Russell's viper, sand boas, few python snakes, pythons. They give live birth. I think this is the first time he has seen, right? And he made it look like this is a miracle. I never seen anything like this. Yeah, you are not a herpetologist. You are a reporter. And he made it so good, saying that this is the first time ever happened. They've been doing this for 110 million years. And this guy just saw 11 minutes ago, right? So that is the kind of misinformation happening. So these guys are using the media well to pass the misinformation or, So we are way behind. Sorry, I need an actor.
What is the reach of this video?
I think that was 3 million view or something. I wanted, 3.2 million, maybe more now. They're still forwarding, people are forwarding. Mine is still 110K view. Yeah. I'm trying. Maybe another 100 people will watch today. Yeah. Don't watch this one. You will be contributing for that one. Watch my video.
Now, this panel discussion is going just as I expected with Gowri and Shailesh. Very entertaining, very insightful. Now, before we end our discussion with one last question for our panelists, we would like to open the floor for audience question. Do we have any questions from the audience? Okay. Awesome.
Okay, good. Hi. Hi, Gowri.
Hi, Vasan.
Hi. So I had a question with regard to the climate change reporting. So one of the things that we noticed in the Nilgiris is a bit different actually when we had landslides in 2019 and now recently in Wayanad also. A lot of the news portals, they kind of failed to acknowledge climate change so much, that they were focusing more on the aspects of overconstruction or building and ecotourism. And like the landslides that happened in the Nilgiris in 2019 it was all in forest regions, near Mukoti National Park, in an avalanche reserve forest where there's very little human intervention. So I had this feeling that they're not talking so much about climate change because then it puts the onus on, again, like what we were discussing in the morning, on the urban people and on the industrial folk, because that's the cause of climate change, and it completely connects everyone to being the cause of it. Whereas, like, once you say it's because of overconstruction or tourism, then it's a very local problem. So that's something I noticed that happened a lot when these landslides happen, is the failure to acknowledge that it's because of extreme weather events and it's climate change.
Was that a question or? Yeah. I think he
Yeah, so do you see that?
You guys didn't give enough time to Vasan to talk here. Go ahead, Vasan.
It was an observation, but if you can respond
I think
to
that's an observation. Thanks.
That's a good
Vasan.
observation, yeah. Do we have another question?
Yeah, so
research. Yeah.
Yeah, so we talked about misinformation. There is wrong data, there is AI, there are so many things. There should be a way to push back. Like when we are looking at from the audience perspective, when we are reading the news or when we are watching the video, we should have an opportunity to say that, hey, this is wrong. So from a journalist perspective, is there a way that you can provide for people or the audience who are looking at it to get back to you and say that, hey, this is wrong, so that you can modify the content?
You answer first. I had a situation like that. One of my recent article with my 4 species description, someone had put snake charmer, and then they said, you know, he put something. So even after doing your PhD or whatever you do, we still are, you know, so fascinated with this word snake charmer. And the editor was defending himself. So he said, no, you are sitting so comfortably in front of a king cobra. You are charming the snake. That is what I meant. Not the other way around. So, but, you know, they didn't want to say anything about it. They just declined. No, this is what I meant. I said, okay, your entire readers, your readers should understand this word as a guy who's sitting in front of a king cobra researcher is charming the snake, but he's not a snake charmer as it is, right? So, you know, we had a lot of argument, but they don't do anything about it. Maybe Shailesh can answer it.
It's a very, very important question, and for journalists, it is little complicated. So, you know, if we see how journalism used to work, or journalism work, means when I say journalism, I mean journalism, not content or the clickbait. The point here is that earlier when we had the hard copy newspapers, we had a practice of issuing corrigendums, right? If you make a mistake, own up and publish the corrigendum or the clarification. In the digital world, it is easier that you can go to the website and change it. Obviously, it has to be fact-checked, and if it is right, then it will be changed. At Mongabay in Mongabay, India, we keep that practice, and whenever we change, we write a footnote that this particular thing was changed for so and so reason. Yes, journalists have to shun their ego and own up mistakes. Mistakes happen. We are not scientific journals. We are not peer-reviewed journals. And yes, we have limited time to publish. Because if we miss a certain time period, we are quite behind the curve. Right? But keeping those journalistic ethics, what we were taught in J schools, right? If we just keep to that, we can fix a lot of problem, right? So yes, it is complicated, but everybody has to make sure that, so I'll just give you one example. My late journalism guru used to tell us, he used to come to the classroom and write in the corner of the blackboard, reader is God. Whatever you are serving is for the reader, and that is your God. So give that God the best thing. How you offer the best things in the world to your God, the best content, best information should go to the God, right? And that's why journalists should like just keep their egos aside, and like in Gowri's case, what he referred, that is completely ego. I don't know what it is, who it was, what paper, I don't want to talk about it, but ego. This was ego, yeah.
That's a great point.
I can't hear you properly.
No, the content what journalist put it on the paper, right? So that should be verified. Like he's a professional. He was talking about the snakes, right?
Yeah.
So
that's why the bridge, what we were talking about, comes in place.
Okay.
Right. Because we can't verify scientific information.
Correct.
Right. But but we can refer to it.
But as what Sir was telling, journalists don't know much about the environment and the species and the snakes and the animals also. But the content, what they write, no? So we buy newspapers and directly it comes to our this one, and it creates a lot of disturbance in our minds.
I think these days they are better now. They send us quotes at least to us by WhatsApp. You know, I have all the time to change it. That's good, really good. They're changing slowly. Before they never used to do that. They say no, our editor or our policies don't let us share our article with you. So we don't care about your article, what you write, but at least the quotes, what it says. Sometimes I say 10 feet king cobra, right? He would have put 10 meters king cobra. I asked, I didn't say 10 meters, I said 10 feet. No, it's almost same, it's okay. No, it's not almost same. It's 33 feet. We don't have king cobras that size. And I think some local guy said, Solpa maja irli sir, it's okay. You know, can you think about 33 feet king cobras? So that's not maja, it's fear. You know? Saja. Yeah, not maja.
So I think the frontline media should come out with an article which has gone viral, as you told.
We are trying to do that. That's what I was talking
maybe
about.
Maybe the frontline media should come on the newspaper telling that this has gone viral on the social media. This is the content which has come, and this is the truth.
Yes.
So that
the media should do that.
Journalism plays a very vital role in that aspect. Thank you.
So thank you for pointing that last point. You know, the problem here is that earlier the news outlets used to do that, right? Now what is happening is that the digital desks are taking this viral content and making stories out of it and publishing. That's really sad part of it. So yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we're closing for questions. We
have one more maybe?
One more?
You did mention something about regulation. I mean, this kind of sensationalism is there in all kinds of media, not only environment. So, and so much of digital media, there's so much WhatsApp news, there's so much of that. What is, in your opinion, a way to regulate it or to make it more ethical or to make it, because they're quick bites, everyone is going to read it and not even question it. So there has to be some ethics involved in this and some regulation.
Yes, madam. So there are regulations being framed by the government right now, but I would not get into that because that is a double-edged sword, and whenever something like this is coming, that is coming with certain different intentions. What I would say here is that, you know, I will again go to the basics of journalism and ethics of journalism, and I also urge the readers and viewers to, you know, make like how you make your food choices, right? Make your content choices. You don't go and eat junk food every day. Means people have gone to a level where they think about the glycemic index in their rice, right? But what happens when you take your phone on and then just forget about everything? So I would rather say that, you know, make your content choices better, and because we can't change everything. Means all the professions have certain rules and regulations, but some people who follow it properly and some people don't. So that's how this profession is there. But yeah, you can make your content choices. The choice is yours.
We have one last question, I think.
I fear we are running really out of time, so
Okay,
sorry for this. Such an interesting topic, and this conversation can definitely go on and on off the stage. But once again, thank you so much. Can we have a huge round of applause for this panel here? Please join me in inviting Dr. Tarsh Takekara, researcher, conservationist and co-founder of the Shola Trust and the Real Elephant Collective, to join me on the stage to present a token of appreciation to our panelists. Can we please have a group photograph?